I remember December 7th very clearly. I was coming close to my 7th birthday, and I remember the family was seated around the table on a Sunday having Sunday dinner. The two grandfathers were visiting, listening to the ball game, and they both got up from that and walked in where we were finishing the meal. Apparently they had left the table to have their cigars and listen to the game. Had told us what had happened, that the announcement had just been made that we had been victims of a surprise attack at Pearl Harbor. And I remember my grandfather Jaeger leaning over, giving my mom a peck on the cheek and a hug, and he said to her, "You're really going to feel this one, honey." And I thought, what does that mean? You know, I couldn't understand. And then afterwards, I heard them talking about the fact that my brothers were of an age where they would be called into service, which is exactly what happened. And I remember that Jean and Dick were both in service, and we had a man here in town by the name of Ray Markeski. He was related to the Kriegiers. I think he was an uncle. And he was the one who delivered the telegrams during the war. People were terrified of seeing his car. It was the one car in town, I think, that people could identify like this. You saw that car going down the street and you watched to see where it would go. That telegram was trouble at that point. My mother was called by that Mr. Markeski, who was the Western Union man, to be at Lucy Murray's house because they had to bring bad news. And she was there to be with Mrs. Murray when that happened. The same thing happened with Mrs. Smith when she got news that her son, Bill, had been injured in service. And you can go on and on with stories like that. My brother Gene's letter home was the first one to reach Geneva after D-Day. And I remember Gilly Carlson was our postman, and he said to my mom, he rang the doorbell and he said, "There's a V-mail from Gene. Would you open it and read it while I'm here?" And he listened to that story and then said, "Do you mind if I tell the other people on the route that you've heard from him? This is the first letter that's come since the D-Day invasion." And she said, "Certainly," because we were a neighborhood and it was important for people to know what was going on that way.